My beloved child, hear this carefully, because this is not a random message crossing your path. This moment has been appointed. There is a divine interruption happening right now, and Archangel Michael is standing guard as God releases a shift that will break every delay and reverse what was working against you. But listen closely. This shift responds to one thing and one thing only: your choice to trust right now. You may feel it already. A strange pressure in your spirit. A pull that says, something is about to change, but I don't know how. That feeling is not confusion. It is confirmation. Heaven is moving, even though your natural eyes have only seen waiting, resistance, and unanswered prayers. Archangel Michael speaks with urgency today, because what is unfolding is not slow, and it is not gentle. This is a sudden reversal. Forces that have been quietly blocking your progress are being confronted in the unseen realm. Doors that stayed shut no matter how hard you pushed are about to open, but not the way you expected. There were delays that made you question yourself. Delays that made you feel overlooked. Delays that whispered lies like, maybe it's not your time, maybe you missed it, maybe you are asking for too much. But hear this clearly. Those delays were not denials. They were pressure points. And pressure always precedes release. Archangel Michael is revealing that what worked against you did not begin with people. It began with resistance in the spiritual realm. That is why logic failed you. That is why effort alone did not work. That is why you prayed and still felt stuck. But today God says enough. Something is shifting behind the scenes. Timelines are being rewritten. What was postponed is being accelerated. However, and this is important, this shift is activated by trust, not fear. Right now, you stand at a crossroads. One path is familiar: doubt, overthinking, trying to control outcomes, waiting for more proof before you move. The other path is uncomfortable: surrender, obedience, trust without guarantees. Heaven is waiting to see which one you choose. Archangel Michael says many blessings were delayed not because God withheld them, but because fear kept you frozen. Fear disguised itself as wisdom. Caution pretended to be patience. But God is not asking you to understand everything. He is asking you to trust Him now. You have been carrying the weight of almost breakthrough, almost relief, almost freedom. That cycle ends with this decision. There is a reason this message reached you when it did. You were not meant to hear this yesterday or tomorrow. Today is critical. Today is responsive. Today is when alignment happens. Some of you have been fighting silent battles, smiling publicly, breaking privately. You kept telling yourself to be strong, but strength without surrender turns into exhaustion. God saw how long you endured without recognition. He saw the nights you cried where no one noticed. He saw the prayers you whispered when your faith felt thin. And now He says, I am unfolding a shift. This shift does not come with noise first. It comes with a decision. Will you trust me even if the situation hasn't changed yet? Will you move forward even if fear still tries to speak? Will you obey even when clarity comes one step at a time? Archangel Michael is assigned to moments like this, moments of divine transition. When battles move from waiting to victory. When resistance collapses suddenly. When what stood against you realizes it can no longer remain. But hear this warning gently and clearly. Hesitation can delay what obedience accelerates. This is why your heart feels stirred. This is why old fears are surfacing. This is why you feel both hope and uncertainty at the same time. It is the sign of crossing over. Do not mistake discomfort for danger. Growth always feels unfamiliar. Expansion always challenges what you used to rely on. trust is being tested not because you are weak, but because what is coming is heavy with responsibility and blessing. God is not breaking delays just to impress you. He is positioning you. There is purpose attached to this release. Influence. Impact. Restoration that goes beyond you. But trust must come first. Trust when you don't see proof yet. Trust when your mind wants to replay old failures. Trust when timing feels late, but heaven says it's perfect. Archangel Michael declares that once you choose trust, resistance loses authority. What worked against you will not only stop, it will reverse. What drained you will begin to restore you. What confused you will become clear. This is not motivational talk. This is a spiritual threshold. Pay attention to what you feel right now. That stillness, that awareness, that inner knowing. That is your spirit recognizing truth. Do not rush past this moment. Let it settle. Let it align you. Because what comes next will require courage, and courage is born from trust. God is unfolding a shift. Delays are breaking. Opposition is reversing. But the key is in your hands. Choose trust. Choose now. My precious one, listen closely, because what you are sensing now is not imagination. It is alignment. After the shift is announced, there is always a moment where the soul feels exposed, as if everything inside you is being weighed. This is that moment. The reason trust is being emphasized again is because the enemy never fights what has no future. Resistance only rises when destiny is near. You may be wondering why, if God is unfolding a breakthrough, things feel emotionally intense instead of instantly peaceful. That is because transition disturbs what has been familiar. The old patterns are losing their grip, and they are loud about it. Fear speaks up when it knows its time is short. Doubt gets aggressive when its authority is being removed. Archangel Michael reveals that some of the delay you experienced was meant to train discernment, not to punish you. You learned how to hear God's voice under pressure. You learned how to stand without applause. You learned how to obey without seeing results. These lessons were not wasted. They are the very reason you are ready for what is coming next. Right now, there is a separation taking place. What belongs to your past is falling away, and what belongs to your future is stepping forward. This separation can feel uncomfortable because it requires you to let go without fully knowing what replaces it yet. But heaven never removes without restoring. God never subtracts without multiplying. Some of you are being asked to trust God with relationships that feel uncertain. Others are being asked to trust Him with finances that look tight. Some are being asked to trust Him with a calling that feels bigger than your confidence. The common thread is this: trust is being requested before evidence is provided. Archangel Michael says this is intentional. If proof came first, faith would not be required. But faith activates authority, and authority is what breaks cycles that logic never could. What you are stepping into cannot be sustained by human strength alone. That is why trust is the foundation. There is also something else being exposed in this season: distractions. Not all distractions look bad. Some look helpful. Some look reasonable. Some look like safety. But anything that pulls your attention away from obedience, even subtly, delays momentum. God is sharpening your focus now, not to restrict you, but to accelerate you. You may notice that certain conversations no longer satisfy you. Certain habits feel empty. Certain plans feel forced. That is not loss. That is refinement. Your spirit is being recalibrated to recognize what aligns with the shift and what does not. Archangel Michael is also confronting a lie that has followed you for too long. the lie that you are behind. Heaven does not measure time the way humans do. What looks delayed in the natural can be perfectly timed in the spiritual. You have not missed anything. Nothing assigned to you has been given to someone else. Your obedience preserved your portion. There is urgency in this message because momentum is building. Small decisions you make now will have amplified impact later. How you respond emotionally, how you speak over your situation, how you treat yourself during uncertainty. These things matter more than you realize. This is why you are being called to engage, not passively observe. Speak life even when silence feels easier. Choose gratitude even when answers are incomplete. Move forward even if your steps feel small. Heaven responds to motion, not perfection. And as this word is speaking to you, take a moment to anchor yourself in it. If this message is resonating, do not keep it to yourself. Like this video so the message can travel further. Share it with someone who is also waiting on God and needs confirmation. Comment what you are trusting God for right now. There is power in agreement. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel so you stay connected to what God is releasing next. When you support this space, you help keep these messages flowing to those who are desperate for hope. Archangel Michael says your engagement is not just digital, it is spiritual alignment. When you show up intentionally, you position yourself intentionally. This is not about numbers. It is about obedience and reach. As you continue listening, stay present. What comes next will bring clarity to the confusion you've been carrying. There is a revelation ahead that ties everything together, and it will land differently if your heart is open. Hold on, because this is where the pattern finally starts to make sense. My beloved one, there is a deeper layer unfolding now, and it requires your full attention. What God is doing is not only changing circumstances around you, He is recalibrating what you expect from Him. Many delays were prolonged because your expectations were shaped by past disappointments. You learned to brace yourself instead of believe freely. You learned to hope carefully instead of boldly. But this season demands a different posture. Archangel Michael reveals that heaven is not responding to your history anymore. It is responding to your alignment. The old labels placed on you, late, overlooked, inconsistent, too slow, too much, are being stripped away. They do not define you in this next movement. God is calling you by a new name, one that matches where He is taking you, not where you came from. There is a silent war that happens right before major reversals. It is the war of perspective. What you choose to believe about God when nothing has changed yet determines how quickly everything changes. This is why trust hath been highlighted again and again. Trust is not passive. Trust is an action of the heart that says, I will not let fear interpret my future. Some of you have been replaying moments where things always worked out. You keep revisiting conversations, decisions, missed chances. But Archangel Michael says those moments were not failures, they were previews. God allowed you to see fragments so you would recognize fullness when it arrives. What is coming will not resemble the pain of the past, it will redeem it. You are stepping into a phase where answers will begin to replace questions. But before that happens, God is asking you to release control. Control feels safe, but it restricts miracles. Faith feels risky, but it invites divine intervention. Heaven moves where surrender lies. Notice how your spirit is being stirred to let go of certain expectations. You are being guided to trust God's process instead of demanding His pace. This does not mean being passive. It means being positioned. When your heart aligns with heaven, resistance loses legal ground. Archangel Michael speaks of restoration that comes in layers. First, your confidence is restored, and your clarity, and your momentum, and finally, your joy. You not rush this sequence. Each layer prepares you to carry the next without breaking. There are blessings you prayed for that required maturity you did not have then. God protected you by delaying them. What felt like denial was actually preservation. And now, because you endured, you can steward what is coming without losing yourself. Pay attention to the new strength rising within you. You are responding differently than before. What once triggered fear now invites prayer. What once caused panic now invites patience. This is evidence that the shift is already active. Archangel Michael says the opposition you sensed was never meant to stop you, only to expose what needed healing. And now that healing is taking place, the opposition has no assignment left. Doors will open naturally. Conversations will shift unexpectedly. Solutions will appear without strain. But remember this: the moment trust becomes optional is the moment delay tries to return. Do not negotiate with doubt. Do not entertain fear as wisdom. You are not being reversed by trusting God. You are being obedient. This is a sacred turning point. What you declare now matters. Speak life over your future. Speak peace over your waiting. Speak gratitude before manifestation. Heaven responds to voices that agree with truth. As this part concludes, seal this word with intention. Type "I choose trust" in the comments if this message is speaking directly to your spirit. Blessing code 4455 has just been released. And hear this invitation with spiritual clarity. When I release these words, I do not speak alone. I speak as one carrying a mandate to spread God's voice to those who are still trapped in delay and confusion. Your support becomes a seed that turns light into rivers, reaching souls you may never meet but heaven remembers. God is saying right now, as you sow into this ground, I will water what you have been praying over. This message moves forward when you activate it through super thanks, channel membership, or PayPal support found in the description. Do not hesitate. Obedience in this moment opens doors faster than effort ever could. I bless every giver with accelerated favor, restored peace, and unexpected provision. Release your seed now and watch how God responds swiftly. Chosen one, what unfolds now may feel subtle at first, but do not mistake subtlety for weakness. The most powerful shifts often move quietly before they reshape everything. God is not only changing outcomes, He is reintroducing you to yourself. The version of you that survived the waiting is not the same version that will steward the breakthrough. That is why this moment feels like an internal realignment. Archangel Michael reveals that your spirit has been under renovation. Old survival habits are being dismantled. You learned how to cope when answers were slow, how to function while carrying disappointment, how to keep going without reassurance. Those skills kept you alive, but they cannot take you forward. God is not calling you to survive anymore. He is calling you to expand. There is a difference between being patient and being positioned. Patience waits. Positioning prepares. You are being prepared now. Your discernment is sharpening. Your tolerance for confusion is decreasing. Your hunger for truth is increasing. These are signs that clarity is near. You may feel moments where you want to rush ahead, followed by moments where you want to retreat. This inner tension is not instability, it is transformation. Like muscles stretching before strength is built, your faith is being stretched to hold more than it ever has before. Archangel Michael speaks directly to the heaviness you sometimes feel without explanation. That heaviness is not sadness, it is responsibility approaching. God does not place weight on what He does not trust. What you are about to carry, whether influence, provision, leadership, or restoration, requires depth. And depth is formed in hidden places. There are conversations happening in the unseen realm on your behalf. Alignments are forming. Timing is converging. But God is also watching how you treat the waiting. Do you curse it or do you consecrate it? Waiting becomes worship when you choose trust over resentment. You are being asked to forgive what drained you, not because it deserved it, but because you deserve freedom. Unforgiveness anchors you to seasons God already closed. Release is not approval. It is permission for God to move without obstruction. Notice how some memories are resurfacing lately. They are not coming back to haunt you. They are coming back to heal. God is tying loose ends so that nothing follows you into the next season unresolved. Peace is part of your inheritance. Archangel Michael says the next phase of your life will require quicker obedience. Delayed obedience used to feel safe because nothing seemed urgent. That changes now. When doors open, you must walk through them without overanalyzing. Momentum will favor those who move when prompted. This does not mean recklessness. It means responsiveness. God will guide you step by step, but He will not push you. Love invites. Fear pressures. Learn the difference. The peace that accompanies instruction is your confirmation. You are also learning how to trust yourself again. Delays made you doubt your discernment. You question whether you heard God correctly. But those doubts are dissolving. You are remembering that God has always been with you, even when outcomes did not match expectations. Archangel Michael reminds you that disappointment does not mean deception. Sometimes God speaks truth, but the process reshapes the promise before it arrives. What you receive will be better suited to who you have become. This is why comparison no longer serves you. Someone else's timing is irrelevant to your assignment. God does not copy and paste destinies. He custom builds them. What took longer for you carries weight others may never need to handle. Pay attention to what excites you now. Not what impresses others, but what awakens you internally. God often hides direction inside desire. When your heart lights up with peace instead of pressure, you are closer than you think. Archangel Michael declares that the confusion you feared is lifting. You will not need to chase clarity. It will meet you. Answers will come naturally. The right words will surface at the right time. The right people will recognize you without convincing. Remain grounded. Remain grateful. Gratitude anchors miracles before they manifest. Speak thankfulness even when the evidence is forming behind the scenes. Heaven hears tone before words. As the season continues to unfold, remember this truth. You are not late. You are not forgotten. And you are not fragile. You are fortified by everything you survived. The delays did not weaken you. They trained you. God is unfolding a shift that does not just change what happens to you, but how you walk through life. And from this point forward, you will no longer move from fear of loss, but from confidence in guidance. Stay attentive. Stay trusting. What comes next will require both courage and calm, and you are being equipped for both. Beloved one, what you are entering now is a season of confirmation. Not loud confirmation, not dramatic signs that overwhelm you, but steady, unmistakable assurance that God has gone before you. The reason this phase feels calmer than the battle before it is because alignment brings peace, even when outcomes are still forming. Archangel Michael says this is where many people grow impatient, because the fight has ended but the fruit has not fully appeared yet. Do not misinterpret this calm as stagnation. This is the pause where roots deepen. What grows too fast above ground often collapses later. God is strengthening what will sustain you long term. You may notice that situations which once drained you no longer have the same power. You respond with maturity instead of emotion. You pause instead of reacting. This is not numbness. This is authority. When fear loses access to your reactions, it loses influence over your future. There is also a refining happening in your language. The way you speak about yourself is changing. You are no longer as harsh, no longer as doubtful, no longer as apologetic for existing. Words carry direction. God is teaching you to speak from identity instead of insecurity. Archangel Michael reveals that some blessings were delayed because your environment needed to change first. Certain mindsets, attachments, and dependencies could not enter the next phase with you. God removed them gently, even when it felt painful. What felt like loss was actually protection. You are beginning to sense when something is not aligned without needing proof. This discernment is a gift. It will save you time, energy, and regret. Trust it. God often whispers before he shouts. The quiet nudges are just as sacred as the obvious signs. There may be moments now where you feel an urge to step back into old habits, simply because they are familiar. Familiarity can feel like safety, even when it is limited. But Archangel Michael warns not to confuse comfort with calling. Your calling stretches you. It asks more of you because more has been placed within you. God is also healing the way you see him. Delays may have painted him as distant or silent, but now you are seeing his consistency. Even when answers were slow, his presence never left. Even when progress felt hidden, his hand was steady. This realization brings a new kind of worship. Not emotional highs, but deep reverence. Trust that is no longer conditional. Faith that is no longer based on outcomes alone. This is the faith that sustains miracles, not just attracts them. Archangel Michael says that the next door's opening will require humility as much as confidence. Pride resists guidance. Insecurity resists opportunity. Balance keeps you teachable and bold at the same time. Ask God daily for wisdom, not just blessing. You are also learning the value of rest. Rest is not inactivity, it is trust expressed through stillness. When you rest, you declare that God is working even when you are not striving. This kind of rest breaks cycles of burnout and anxiety. Pay attention to how your prayers are changing. They are becoming more specific, more honest, less desperate. You are no longer begging, you are conversing. Relationship replaces survival when trust matures. Archangel Michael wants you to know that what is coming will not overwhelm you. God measures blessing by capacity, not desire. He will not release what would crush your peace. Everything arriving will fit who you have become. There may be moments where you feel a holy urgency to act, followed by moments where you are told to wait. Both are obedience. The key is discernment. Ask before you move. Listen before you decide. God is closer than you think. You are also being prepared to be a testimony, not through perfection, but through authenticity. Others will recognize God's work in you because you will carry peace instead of pride, confidence without arrogance, authority without intimidation. Archangel Michael declares that the chapter ahead will not repeat the pain of the previous one. You are not looping, you are ascending. Similar challenges may appear, but you will face them with new strength and clarity. As this part unfolds, remain anchored. Do not rush the process. You must downplay the growth. Celebrate the small confirmations. They are evidence that the shift is active and irreversible. God is unfolding something that will soon be visible, but its foundation is being secured now. Trust the pace. Trust the preparation. Trust the God who never left your side. Beloved child, this stage you are entering carries movement. Not frantic motion, not rushed decisions, but intentional forward steps that begin to align one after another. You may feel as though life is gently nudging you forward instead of pushing you. That is how you know God is leading this progression. When God moves, He does not create panic, He creates direction. Archangel Michael reveals that hesitation has been losing its grip on you. Where you once needed constant reassurance, you are now learning to move with quiet confidence. This does not mean all fear is gone, but fear no longer decides for you. Discernment has taken its place. You are learning the difference between caution and delay, between wisdom and avoidance. You may notice that opportunities are beginning to appear in ordinary ways. Conversations that seem casual at first. Ideas that come without force. Invitations that feel aligned rather than stressful. This is how God often works after long seasons of waiting. He does not overwhelm you with sudden chaos. He introduces blessing through peace. Archangel Michael says, do not despise small beginnings in this phase. Momentum rarely announces itself loudly. It builds consistency before it builds visibility. The step you take now, even if it feels minor, carries weight far beyond what you can see. Obedience compounds. There is also a purification happening in your motivation. You are no longer driven by the need to prove anything. The desire to impress has faded. What matters now is alignment. This is crucial because the next season will require integrity more than image. God is entrusting you with influence that must be stewarded carefully. Pay attention to how your boundaries are strengthening. You are saying no without guilt. You are protecting your energy without explanation. This is not selfishness. This is stewardship. God protects what He plans to grow, and you are learning to do the same. Archangel Michael speaks to those moments when doubt still tries to whisper late at night. He says, do not wrestle those thoughts. Simply return to truth. You have already survived what you feared would destroy you. That alone is proof that God's hand had been on you all along. This phase is also about consistency. Small acts of faith repeated daily. Prayer even when you feel fine. Gratitude even when you are tired. Obedience even when no one is watching. These quiet disciplines are building a foundation that will not shake when visibility increases. You may sense a deeper responsibility emerging. People may begin to look to you for guidance, even informally. Do not shrink back. God has been preparing your voice through every season of silence. Speak with humility, but do not silence what God has refined. Archangel Michael warns against rushing to explain what God is doing before it is fully revealed. Not everyone needs to understand your process. Protection sometimes comes through privacy. Let fruit speak louder than plans. There is also a healing happening around trust in people. Delays taught you independence, but God is now teaching you discerned connection. You do not have to do everything alone anymore. The right support will not drain you. It will strengthen you. As this message resonates with you, take a moment to engage intentionally. Like this video if it confirms what God has been doing in your life. Share it with someone who is also stepping out after a long season of waiting. Comment with a simple declaration of faith so others can stand with you in agreement. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do so now, because what God is releasing here is building momentum for the days ahead. Your interaction helps these messages reach the ones who are still searching for clarity. Archangel Michael says your engagement is more than encouragement. It is alignment. When you participate, you position yourself to receive more clearly. Heaven responds to readiness. As you continue listening, Stay present. What is coming next will connect the internal growth you've experienced with external manifestation. The pieces are about to come together in a way that will surprise you. Hold on, because this next unfolding will reveal why everything had to happen in this exact order. Beloved one, there is a quiet confidence beginning to rise within you now, and it is different from anything you have known before. This confidence is not built on circumstances finally improving, but on certainty that God is present regardless of what unfolds next. That is how you know real transformation has taken place. When peace no longer depends on outcomes, authority hath been established. Archangel Michael reveals that this phase is about stabilization. After long periods of tension and waiting, God is anchoring you so that sudden blessings do not destabilize you emotionally or spiritually. You are learning how to remain grounded whether things move quickly or slowly. This steadiness is not accidental, it is cultivated. You may notice that your reactions to uncertainty have softened. Where you once panicked, you now pause. Where you once questioned God's silence, you now trust His timing. This does not mean you have all the answers. It means you no longer need them to remain faithful. That is a sign of maturity. There is also a strengthening of discernment taking place. You are beginning to recognize when something is being pushed by anxiety versus guided by peace. Not every open door is yours to walk through. God is refining your ability to sense alignment before action. This will protect you from unnecessary detours. Archangel Michael says some opportunities will look good but feel heavy. Others may look small but feel right. Learn to honor the internal witness God has placed within you. Your spirit knows more than you realize because it is connected to the one who sees everything. This season is also teaching you patience without passivity. You are learning how to prepare without forcing, how to expect without demanding, how to hope without clinging. This balance allows God to work freely without resistance from fear or control. There may be moments when you feel invisible again, even after all the growth you have experienced. Do not misinterpret this. Visibility is not always the sign of progress. Sometimes God hides what He is strengthening. Roots grow in darkness before branches are seen. Archangel Michael reminds you that the work God is doing in you now is shaping how you will handle influence later. Influence reveals character quickly. That is why character is being refined deeply now. God is more concerned with who you are becoming than how fast things change. Pay attention to the peace that follows obedience lately. Even when steps feel uncertain, peace arrives afterward. That peace is confirmation. God often affirms direction after movement, not before. Trust grows as you walk, not while you stand still. You are also learning how to let go of urgency that comes from fear. Not every delay means something is wrong. Sometimes God is protecting you from moving too soon. Timing is as important as obedience. A good decision made at the wrong time can still cause strain. Archangel Michael speaks to the weariness you sometimes feel even now. He says rest is not a setback. It is a strategy. When God invites you to rest, He is not slowing progress. He is preserving strength. You do not need to earn rest. It is part of your inheritance. There is also a renewal happening in how you pray. You are no longer rehearsing old worries. Your prayers are becoming more present, more honest, more relational. You are learning how to sit with God instead of striving for quick answers. This deepens intimacy and clarity. Some of you may sense a call to simplify. Less noise. Fewer opinions. More focus. This is not withdrawal. It is refinement. God often reduces distractions before increasing direction. Simplicity creates space for clarity. Archangel Michael says be mindful of what you feed your spirit during this time. What you listen to, what you dwell on, what you allow to shape your thoughts. Peace must be protected. Faith must be nurtured. Fear only needs attention to grow. You are stepping into a phase where consistency will matter more than intensity. Daily alignment will carry more weight than occasional emotional highs. God values faithfulness because it builds endurance. Endurance sustains breakthroughs. Do not underestimate how far you have come. There were moments you wanted to give up entirely, and yet you are still here, still listening, still trusting. That alone is evidence that God has been carrying you through every unseen battle. Archangel Michael declares that the next unfolding will not catch you unprepared. You have been trained through waiting, refined through silence, and strengthened through trust. When the shift becomes visible, you will recognize it not with shock, but with peace. Remain attentive. Remain humble. Remain open. What God is about to reveal will confirm why the season of inner stability was necessary. You are closer than you think, and you are ready in ways you once doubted. The journey has not been easy, but it has been purposeful. And now, the foundation is set for what comes next. Beloved child, this is a pivotal moment where what has been forming internally is about to meet the external world. The shift you have been sensing is no longer only spiritual preparation. It is approaching manifestation. But before it becomes visible, God is asking for one final refinement, your response when things begin to change. Archangel Michael reveals that many people pray for movement but are startled when it arrives. Change tests trust in a new way. Waiting tested endurance, but movement will test surrender. You will be asked to let go of familiar routines, familiar mindsets, and even familiar versions of yourself. This is not loss, it is elevation. You may feel a mix of excitement and unease as signs begin to appear. At unease does not mean something is wrong. It means you are stepping into territory that requires faith at a higher level. Growth always asks more of you than comfort ever did. God is also aggressing something subtle now, the temptation to look back. When forward movement begins, the past often tries to speak louder. Old fears resurface. Old voices attempt to regain influence. Old patterns invite you to retreat. But Archangel Michael says what is behind you no longer has permission to define you. There is a new authority resting on you. Not loud authority, not controlling authority, but quiet certainty. You are beginning to move without announcing. You are learning to listen more than explain. This maturity protects what God is building through you. Some of you will notice that others begin to respond to you differently. Respect without demand. Trust without explanation. Favor without striding. This is not coincidence. Alignment attracts recognition naturally. Archangel Michael warns not to rush this phase by forcing outcomes. Allow God to pace the process. What unfolds gradually will last. What is forced may fracture later. Patience now protects longevity later. You are also being taught how to steward momentum. Momentum can be intoxicating if you are not grounded. God does not want you chasing progress. He wants you following presence. Stay connected to Him even as doors open. Success without intimacy becomes empty quickly. There may be decisions ahead that look good on the surface but require prayer before action. Do not assume every opportunity is an instruction. Ask God before you move. Peace is your confirmation, not pressure. Archangel Michael says this is a season where obedience will sometimes require courage. You may need to say yes when fear says wait, and say no when logic says take it. Trust the inner witness God has refined within you. It will not mislead you. As responsibilities increase, so must your rest. Guard your inner world. Do not allow noise to drown out discernment. What God is building through you will require clarity, and clarity requires stillness. You are not stepping into chaos. You are stepping into order. Divine order. What felt scattered will align. What felt delayed will synchronize. What felt confusing will become coherent. Notice how your prayers are now aligning with God's will instead of resisting it. You are no longer asking Him to bless your plans. You are asking Him to guide your steps. This is the posture that sustains destiny. Archangel Michael declares that the season of questioning your worth is ending. You are moving from asking, "Am I enough?" to declaring, "God is faithful." Confidence rooted in God is unshakable. As this part comes to a close, seal what God is doing in your spirit. Type "I am ready" in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 8891 has just been released. Now hear this carefully, because this moment matters. As these words go forth, they are not just meant for you, but for countless souls still trapped in delay and doubt. When you respond through super thanks, channel membership, or PayPal support found in the description, you are not funding a channel. You are releasing light into places still covered in confusion. God is saying, when you sow into this message, you partner with me to reach those I am calling. This is not a casual act. It is a prophetic response. Those who give in obedience will see acceleration, provision, and peace released into their own lives. Do not delay what God is prompting now. Act, and watch how heaven responds swiftly and abundantly. Beloved one, what unfolds now is the quiet confirmation that God had been faithful all along. This stage is not marked by loud celebration, but by deep recognition. You begin to realize that the shift was never only about changing what surrounds you. It was about changing how you stand within it. And now, you are standing differently. Archangel Michael reveals that this is the phase where alignment begins to feel natural instead of forced. You are no longer trying to convince yourself to trust God. Trust is becoming your default response. When uncertainty appears, you do not collapse inward. You lift your eyes upward. This is not something you practiced. It is something you became. You may notice that situations which once triggered anxiety now simply invite discernment. You ask better questions. You pause before reacting. You listen before responding. This calm authority is evidence that fear no longer governs your decisions. Heaven is. There is also a quiet grief being released in this phase. Grief not because of loss, but because you are finally letting go of who you had to be to survive. The strong one, the silent one, the one who carried everything alone. God is honoring that version of you, but He is also releasing you from it. You no longer need to be guarded in the same way. Archangel Michael says this is a season of internal permission. You are allowing yourself to hope again without bracing for disappointment. You are allowing joy to rise without questioning how long it will last. This is not naivety. It is healing. Pay attention to how your body responds lately. Less tension. Deeper breaths. More stillness. Peace often manifests physically before it shows up circumstantially. Your nervous system is learning that it is safe to rest because God is in control. You are also becoming more selective with where you invest your energy. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. You no longer chase validation or overextend yourself to be understood. You are content to be aligned, even if misunderstood. This confidence protects your peace. Archangel Michael reveals that clarity is increasing because resistance has decreased. When fear steps aside, wisdom steps forward. You are hearing God more clearly now, not because He is speaking louder, but because the noise within has quieted. There may still be unanswered questions, but they no longer disturb you the way they once did. You trust that answers will come when they are needed. You are learning that not knowing everything does not mean you are unprepared. It means you are dependent on God, and that dependence is your strength. This phase is also about stewardship. How you treat peace now determines how long it stays. Do not invite unnecessary stress. Do not reopen doors God help you close. Do not entertain thoughts that undo the healing you have received. Guard what has been restored. Archangel Michael cautions against revisiting old narratives. You are not who you were when you started this journey. Do not define yourself by former limitations. God has expanded your capacity, and it is time to live from that expansion, not shrink back into familiarity. You may sense a growing desire to live more intentionally, to speak with purpose, to choose with clarity, to walk with integrity. This is not pressure. It is alignment. When your inner world aligns with heaven, your outer life begins to reflect order. There is also an invitation to gratitude in this season, not forced gratitude, but reflective gratitude. Looking back and seeing how God protected you when you did not understand, how delays saved you from harm, how silence trained your spirit. Gratitude turns memory into testimony. Archangel Michael says you are becoming a safe place for others without trying to be. Your peace will minister before your words ever do. People will feel calmer around you, not because you have answers, but because you carry assurance. This is influence rooted in presence. Do not rush to label what God is doing. Some things are meant to be lived before they are named. Allow the process to unfold fully. Allow yourself to adjust to this new way of being without pressure to explain it. You are no longer in survival mode. You are in stewardship mode. This means you move thoughtfully. You pray intentionally. You listen deeply. You respond wisely. God trusts you with this posture because you have been faithful in the unseen. Archangel Michael declares that the foundation has been laid. What comes next will build upon this stability, not replace it. You will not lose your peace to gain progress. You will not sacrifice alignment for advancement. God is teaching you that both can coexist. Remain present. Remain grounded. Remain grateful. You are not waiting for the shift anymore. You are living within it. And as you continue forward, you will recognize that the greatest change was not what God did around you, but what He awakened within you. What lies ahead will confirm this truth even more clearly. You are ready, not because everything is perfect, but because you are anchored, and that anchor will hold through every blessing yet to come. Beloved child, you are now entering a phase where movement becomes visible, but discernment becomes even more critical. When God begins to bring things together outwardly, the inner life must stay anchored. This is where many people stumble, not because they lack faith, but because they relax their vigilance too soon. Victory requires wisdom just as much as waiting did. Archangel Michael reveals that this stage is about navigation. The path ahead is opening, but it is not a straight line. There will be choices to make, adjustments to accept, and moments where you must pause even though progress feels possible. Do not interpret pauses as resistance. Sometimes God slows you down to protect what He is building through you. You may notice that your intuition is sharper now. You sense when something is off without needing to analyze it. You feel peace before confirmation arrives. This sensitivity is not weakness, it is refinement. God has trained your spirit to recognize alignment quickly so that confusion does not steal momentum. There is also a temptation in this season to over-explain yourself. As things begin to shift, others may question your choices, your timing, or your confidence. You do not owe everyone clarity. Some understanding only comes through observation. Let consistency answer what words cannot. Archangel Michael cautions against returning to old coping mechanisms just because pressure increases slightly. Pressure does not mean you are losing ground. It means responsibility is increasing. God would not increase responsibility without also increasing grace. Trust the grace that is already present. This phase is also teaching you restraint. Not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every idea needs immediate execution. Wisdom knows when to hold and when to release. Timing will matter greatly in what unfolds next. You are learning how to manage expectation, both yours and others. Expectation without trust creates anxiety. Trust without expectation creates passivity. God is bringing these into balance within you. You are learning how to expect good without demanding control. Archangel Michael says be mindful of comparison now more than ever. When movement begins, comparison tries to re-enter quietly. You may notice what others have achieved, how fast things are happening for them, or how visible their progress looks. You not measure your journey against someone else's highlights. God custom designed your path for your capacity. There is also a strengthening of conviction happening. You know what you believe now. You know what you will tolerate and what you will not. This clarity will protect you from distractions disguised as opportunities. Stay anchored to what God has spoken to you, not what seems popular or urgent. You may feel moments of excitement followed by moments of caution. Both are healthy. Excitement fuels vision. Caution preserves wisdom. Let them work together instead of fighting each other. Archangel Michael reminds you that obedience does not always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels ordinary. Showing up, staying consistent, choosing integrity when shortcuts are available. These quiet decisions are what sustain long-term breakthrough. As this message continues to speak to you, take a moment to engage with it intentionally. If this word is confirming what God has been doing in your life, like this video so it can reach others who need the same assurance. Share it with someone who hath been waiting and trusting in silence. Comment with a simple word of agreement so faith can multiply through connection. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do it now so you stay connected to what God is unfolding next. When you support this space, you help create a flow of encouragement for many who are still searching for direction. This engagement is not routine. It is alignment. When you respond, you position yourself to stay attentive to what comes next. Archangel Michael says, do not disengage now. What is about to be revealed will explain why this season required so much preparation. Many people miss clarity because they leave too early. Stay present. Stay open. This next unfolding will bring understanding that ties everything together in a way you did not expect. There is purpose in the timing of this message. There is intention in where you are right now. Do not rush ahead of God, and do not lag behind Him. Walk with Him. You are not just moving forward, you are moving wisely. And that wisdom will preserve what God is about to release. Beloved one, this stage carries a sacred stillness, even as movement continues around you. It is the stillness of confidence, the quiet assurance that you are no longer chasing God's will, you are walking within it. What once felt fragile now feels grounded. What once felt uncertain now feels guided. This is not coincidence. It is the result of every season you endure without quitting. Archangel Michael reveals that this phase is about consolidation. Everything God has been building in you is coming together into a stable inner posture. You are no longer fragmented between hope and fear, faith and doubt. Alignment has brought integration. Your heart, mind, and spirit are learning to move in agreement. You may notice that decisions feel clearer now, even when they are not easy. Clarity does not remove challenge. It removes confusion. You understand what is required of you, even if obedience costs comfort. This is maturity. This is readiness. There is also a deepening of humility taking place. Not the kind that shrinks you, but the kind that steadies you. You are aware that every step forward is sustained by grace, not effort alone. This awareness keeps your heart soft even as your authority grows. Archangel Michael speaks to the way you now handle opposition. It no longer provokes panic or defensiveness. You do not feel the need to prove yourself. Silence has become a response, not a retreat. This restraint is strength. When you no longer react, you take control of the narrative. This season is also teaching you discernment and celebration. Not every win needs to be announced. Some victories are meant to be honored privately with God. What is celebrated too early can become vulnerable to unnecessary interference. Let gratitude rise before applause. You may sense that God is inviting you into deeper obedience now. Not louder obedience, but quieter faithfulness. Doing the right thing even when no one notices. Choosing integrity even when shortcuts seem harmless. This depth will safeguard what God entrusts to you next. Archangel Michael says this is where many people are tempted to relax spiritually, assuming the hardest part is over. But this is not a time to disengage. It is a time to remain attentive. Blessings must be stewarded just as carefully as battles were fought. Your prayer life may feel less urgent and more conversational now. You are not bleeding. You are partnering. This shift reveals trust. You believe God hears you, not because of emotion but because of relationship. That confidence strengthens communication. There is also an invitation to reflection in this phase. Look back not to dwell, but to recognize patterns God has broken. Cycles that once repeated no longer have power over you. Acknowledge this. Gratitude anchors freedom. Archangel Michael reveals that you are being prepared to carry influence quietly. Influence that does not demand attention, but naturally draws it. People will sense stability in you. They will seek your presence without knowing why. This is leadership rooted in peace. Be mindful of what you allow into your inner world now. Protect your peace. Not everything deserves your attention. Discernment will require boundaries, and boundaries will require courage. Saying no is sometimes the most obedient act. You are also learning how to trust timing without frustration. You understand now that delay does not mean denial, and speed does not always mean favor. God's timing carries wisdom that protects you from unnecessary strain. Archangel Michael says do not underestimate the power of consistency in this season. Small acts of faith repeated daily will sustain what sudden breakthroughs cannot. Faithfulness creates endurance, and endurance preserves calling. You may still encounter moments of uncertainty, but they will not destabilize you. You have learned how to return to center quickly. You know where your help comes from. You know who holds your future. This knowledge steadies your steps. This is also a season of responsibility. What God has entrusted to you must be handled with care. Not fearfully, but reverently. Responsibility is not burden. It is evidence of trust. As this chapter continues to unfold, remain teachable. Growth does not end when blessing begins. Stay open to correction. Stay responsive to guidance. God resists pride but multiplies humility. Archangel Michael declares that the final unveiling is near. What had been forming in silence will soon speak for itself. You will not need to announce it. The fruit will be visible. Remain grounded. Remain faithful. Remain aligned. You have come too far to rush the final steps. What God completes, He completes well. The next movement will not surprise you. It will confirm you. And when it arrives, you will recognize it not with fear, but with peace, knowing that every step led you here intentionally. Stay with God. Stay aware. What comes next will seal everything you have believed for. Beloved child, this is the sealing moment. Not the end of the journey, but the completion of this chapter. What God began in uncertainty, He is now anchoring in assurance. You are not stepping into something fragile. You are stepping into something established. The shift that was promised has now settled into alignment, and alignment brings authority. Archangel Michael speaks with clarity now, because heaven has watched your response through every phase. You trusted when answers were delayed. You remained faithful when progress was invisible. You stayed receptive when fear tried to harden your heart. And because of this, God says you are ready to carry what He is releasing without losing your peace. This final stage is not about striving anymore. It is about walking. Walking in obedience that feels natural. Walking in trust that does not need constant reassurance. Walking in peace that does not collapse when circumstances fluctuate. This is how you know the shift is real. It has changed how you move through life. You may notice that what once intimidated you no longer has the same power. Challenges still exist, but they do not dominate your emotions. You face them with steadiness instead of anxiety. That steadiness is not self-made, it is God-formed. Archangel Michael declares that what was working against you has lost its authority permanently. Not temporarily silenced, not weakened, but dismantled. Cycles that repeated for years will not return. Doors that once closed abruptly will now open with ease. Favor will no longer feel foreign. It will feel fitting. This does not mean everything will be perfect. It means you will be positioned. Positioned to respond wisely. Positioned to discern clearly. Positioned to move without panic. God does not promise a life without storms, but He does promise an anchor that holds through them all. There is also a restoration of joy happening now. Not excitement tied to outcomes, but joy rooted in trust. Joy that exists even before manifestation. This joy is strength. It will sustain you through responsibilities, decisions, and growth. Archangel Michael reminds you that humility must remain your companion. Blessing attracts attention, and attention can distort focus if you are not grounded. Keep returning to God as your source. What He gave, He can sustain. What He sustains, He protects. You are stepping into a season where obedience will feel lighter because trust is deeper. You will no longer wrestle God before agreeing with Him. Your yes will come faster. Your no will be clearer. This responsiveness will keep you aligned. Look back now, not with regret, but with recognition. Every delay refined you. Every disappointment trained you. Every silent season strengthened your discernment. Nothing was wasted. Everything contributed. Archangel Michael says the peace you carry now is proof that God kept His word. You are no longer waiting for permission to move forward. Heaven has already confirmed you. The shift has happened. As this message concludes, seal it with intention and faith. Type "I receive the shift" in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 1217 is now activated. And now hear this final invitation, because it flows directly from what God has spoken. When I speak these words, I speak as one entrusted with carrying this message beyond this moment. God says, those who help release this word become partners in the harvest it creates. When you give through Super Thanks, channel membership, or PayPal found in the description, you are not supporting a video. You are fueling a river of light that reaches souls still trapped in delay. This is a prophetic act, not a transaction. As you sow, God releases provision, clarity, and acceleration into your life. Do not delay obedience. Release your seed now, and watch how God honors it with multiplied peace and open doors.